All right, lady.
Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of Well, There You Go. And today we have a double hitter for you. Today we're going to be discussing Joshua book 1 and 2, which is titled Trust and Believe. And today I'm your host, Midnight Ace of Midnight Ace Book Bar and Custom Creations. And to give us some insight on this story, we have the author of this one, the mastermind, Iris Bolling, and also Cara Parker, who is the of Stylesetters
Entertainment.
Entertainment.
You had to think about it.
So yeah, and I'll say so, guys. Today we're going to talk about Joshua, who we all fell in love with Joshua when he came out. This is also part of the Lassiter series. So if you were with us last week or week before last, you know that we are discussing the entire Lassiter series, and we are now at the book of Joshua 1 and 2. And so, guys, if you've had a chance to take in this story, you know that this one really, really pulled at your heartstrings. Like, we were hating people in this story, we were falling in love, deeply in love in this story, and then we were watching a man who we know was larger than life just kind of crumble to nothing. But as always, he made his comeback.
He will
He will
rise.
rise. So, ladies, tell us what you think about this book. But first, let me go to Iris. Iris, when you wrote this story, number one, this is the only Lassiter book in the series that has two sections to
Well,
it.
that's
Why
not
was
quite.
it? Why did the book have
Luke
to be
does.
done?
Luke does. Because Luke has the wedding series.
Yeah, he has the wedding, but
Right.
when you were doing this series early on, you decided that this book was had to have two.
Yes, because Joshua cannot be told in one setting. You know, Joshua, the story of Joshua, and for people really to understand the depth of Joshua, it had to be told in two stories because
Mhm.
in Joshua, you have two different men.
Well,
You know,
yeah, you're right.
you have that man that's going to go out there and he's going to handle business and he don't have no problem killing people. But then you have that spiritual man, that man of faith. And what I hope people came to understand in Joshua's story is that it is his faith that keeps
Mm,
him grounded with what he has to do in life. So his job for to protect the country takes him kind of cross the waters because a lot of people look at him as a straight up killer, right?
well,
Because
he
True.
kind of
True.
he is.
he is, but it's his faith that keeps him grounded, and he understands his purpose is that is his purpose, but it's grounded in his faith.
And I
So the
like that about this,
story
about
had to be
the
told.
story.
I'm sorry, Miss Prissy, go ahead.
No, I said I like that about this story, how his faith, the scriptures you had in there, you pulled
Mhm.
a lot from the Bible of Joshua, from the book of
From the book of
Joshua
Joshua, from the book of
in the
Joshua.
Bible. And those scriptures was like
And they
was
just fit him,
yes, it did.
the whole thing, it really just fit him. And if I could, Midnight, please forgive me for this, but Miss Prissy, can I tell you that you actually look good? I am so thankful to your husband, John, because you are focused. Your room is clear and crisp. I can see the flowers behind you today.
Mm.
Yes, thank you.
You just a little old queen today, huh?
Yeah, she's
I
doing this thing
guess.
over there today. So I had to put that out there, Miss Prissy. So there you go. But
Well, there
but
you
Miss
go.
Prissy, well, there you go. Oh, but Miss Prissy, I think it was important that and the reason we had to do it in two, I had to do it in two books because exactly what you just said. I think it was really, really important for the readers to understand both aspects of Joshua. And in
Mm-hmm.
reading Joshua 1 was so, that's his first taste of feeling anything for a woman.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong, he loves women.
Yes, he does.
A little too much
He
sometimes.
loves women,
Until.
but
Yeah, yeah.
and a lot of people they could not stand Akande because Akande broke Joshua's heart. I look at Akande in a different light. I think Akande opened Joshua's heart. Akande's
I
love taught him
agree.
how to love because at first Joshua was running through everything in every book
But
leading up to
but
this.
you know,
Joshua was everything.
Akande and Joshua were a lot
Not all
alike.
like.
A lot alike. They were almost shadows of each other.
Yes, and both of them were committed to their countries.
Hmm.
They were committed to their countries. But to be honest with you, Akande is the one who prepared Joshua for rock.
I
Joshua
agree
wasn't
with
ready
that.
for rock. Joshua wasn't ready for rock until he experienced Akande. And that's how some men are. Some men aren't really ready for that one woman that is going to rock their world. And that's exactly what Rock did. She rocked his world until they have experienced something like what Joshua went through with Akande.
I want to say something because this is, I think Joshua fell for Akande. This usually, they always usually say this about women because she was untouched and he got to experience her firsthand. Now, usually they said when women, whoever she's first touched, she never forgets and they fall in love with the male. And this, it was reverse, I believe, because, and they had that little time together and
Mm-hmm,
everything and,
mm-hmm.
getting to know us. So I think he just fell for her the way he did because she was, I'm not saying she was his first virgin, but because of that situation and everything.
Well, I don't
Mhm.
I don't know that she was necessarily his first virgin. No.
Yeah, that's what I said. I don't
Um,
know if he's his first.
but also I think he fell in love with Akande because Akande challenged him from the beginning. You
Hmm.
know, he came across her in that room
Yeah.
and he was trying to get out there with Jaja. We have to talk about the relationship between Joshua and Jaja.
Yeah.
Last time we talked, when we talked about Teach Me, we talked
Hmm.
about the relationship between Joshua and Shantae. Remember?
Right.
Hmm.
Right.
Hmm.
Where he really came up on another teenager, another preteen, or whatever she was at that time, that
Hmm.
the mouth, the mouth
Hmm.
with Joshua. So
Yeah.
we're gonna have
She
to talk
wasn't just following instructions. Like she was
about.
like,
Yeah,
no.
no, neither one of them followed instructions. Like, no, they wasn't doing that.
No, so we are gonna have to talk about that too. But I do think that um Miss Prissy knows she wasn't his first virgin that he had been with.
I'm
However,
sure.
yeah, I'm sure. Um yeah,
We're sure.
But you know what I think, and Joshua was at a point in his life where he wanted, because he idolized Samuel. Samuel, has that family. Diamond went first, then Samuel, and he was wondering whether or not he could have that too,
Right.
right? And I think um Akande caught him just at that moment, and it was enough of a connection for them to confuse him because just like Sally had said, I think it was Sally that said something about, sometimes love can appear in a lot of different ways. It may not be the real thing. But like
Right.
you said, Akande probably prepared Joshua for, rock. And then let's just face it, if Joshua had not had that crisis, he would not have been in a position where Rock would have had to come to him, because that would
Right.
not have happened,
Right.
under normal circumstances. So, and I think with Akande, I think I didn't start having a little bit of a problem with Akande, and I'm with you guys. I'm apologize. I'm going forward, but I didn't start having a problem with her until after the fact. I understood. Joshua's. I broke my heart. Broke for Joshua. Like I
Nice. Yeah.
literally broke, and I cried. But and I think Joshua realized this too. Like in the second year mark too, she did exactly what he would have done had the circumstances been different. Yeah,
Exactly what he
She
would.
yeah.
did.
And it was part of a bigger picture, right? So he was just a casualty of that situation.
Casualty of
And she
war.
was too, though. She
She
was
was
too. Let's not
too. She
forget,
was
she was
too.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was too. Um, but and we are discussing both stories,
Hmm.
and it's really important to discuss these two stories together. That's why we decided to
Yeah.
do it this way. It's because in both stories, first of all, we I have to bring this up. The titles of the story is Trust and Believe. That's
Hmm.
the titles of these two stories together. So at first, if I had when I was writing the story, the two was like that. It was Trust and Believe. But y'all know the size of these stories. So
Hmm.
it could not be just that one. We had to break it up, at some point and make it into two stories. So but when these stories were put together, the whole concept of the story was for Joshua to trust in God
Hmm.
and believe he's doing the best for you. So he had to believe in something that we don't see. And it's hard for us to do that as humans. We have to see it to believe it. Well, with Joshua, all of his life, he's had this trust, you know, in God. He is always trusted in God. And we understand people talk about Eric would used to talk about Joshua being his vanity because of the suits
To.
and
Hmm.
all of that stuff. But what we come to understand was that was his way of keeping God close to him, because on Sundays he would
Right.
Sundays.
in
Right.
his boots
Right.
and go
And
to
I think too, it was out of respect for God too, that
Yes.
he wore that.
What his Sunday's best.
Right. But I love how, Joshua go from beginning to end, how he if you are a Christian, and and you're human, and what it is to, yes, I have faith, but I am human, you know what I mean? And so sometimes things happen where it will break you, and it will cause you to be a little weak, and so that faith is not that strong, because you feel like I've done everything right,
yes, yes,
and then
Yeah.
you take the one thing that I really wanted away from me. So now, and I think when Sally got that envelope with that cross in there,
yes,
as a mother, I would say,
yes.
oh no, 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 no. You know what I mean? Because like now you don't know where it is. I think she had a connection because she knows he would never falter. But when he gave that cross to her,
Cross up,
he was
exactly.
rogue. He was rogue,
Yeah.
and I think she
She
was.
didn't know. She didn't know what she had. That was when her trust
Mhm.
had to be stronger.
Stronger for him.
It
Right.
had to be stronger for him, because she knew then he had lost his
Lost his
trust.
way. Yeah.
You
But
know,
he grew in his faith though. He grew in his faith
Yeah.
when he was laying down hurt, he talked it out with God.
Yeah,
he
and
You
that
know,
was a very special moment, Miss Prissy. Yeah.
special moment,
yes, it
huge
was. It
moment.
was. And that touched me deeply, that I was like, wow,
Yeah,
and that humanized him for me too, you
Hmm.
know, for him because some of us may have been in that situation where we had to have that talk with God too to bring us back from the
Right. But it
bottom.
all started at the beginning though too. If he had not been rooted in faith, because they train a child in the way you want him to
there
Mhm.
you
go, and
go.
he would
There
not.
That's
you
And
right.
then
go, right there.
there he was back there. He knew, yeah, okay, you took all of this from me, but hey, look, I know this is from where my strength come from. And he
Hmm.
was
Right.
just like, telling him, talking to him like, just like a regular guy, and I need help. And so I loved how, like you said, humanizing him, because he did become like a real person. He wasn't that
Right.
hero everybody
Right.
had foreseen him to be. So those were my favorite moments with him, and those
Mm-hmm.
scriptures that was in the book.
Yeah, you know what though, guys? I can't tell you how much I enjoyed writing Joshua's story.
Hmm.
Joshua's story had everything in it that I love to write about. It had the action, it had the killings, it had the, espionage
Hmm.
piece in there. It had that. It had all of that in there. But then it also had this strong woman that came up and just he fought her every step of the way, but she paid
Yeah.
him no mind. She went in there, Rock went in there and did what she had to do to get him out of danger and then nurse him back to life. You
She
know,
did. She
she
did.
did it. So it had that strong woman piece in there too. And then it had that loving family. Did you see how Samuel,
Damn, you broke. Yeah. He
yes,
Uh,
just pushed
Samuel,
Rock out the way and went down.
when he saw Joshua, it was like that big, strong Samuel that we had all have really come to love. This big, strong Samuel almost broke down on his knees when he saw his brother. You
yeah.
know,
Yes, he
Yeah.
did.
so you
But you
see,
know what's important too? Joshua also called for Samuel when he was going through that, right? He was
Yeah.
like, Sammy, I think he said, Sammy, why aren't you coming to something to that effect? He was looking for his big brother to.
But no, I think when Rock was talking, he was saying, okay, this must, when she was, working on him, she
Mhm.
was just like, okay, so Sammy is here. He must have sent someone, or this is
Right.
Sally. So it was Sammy, it was always Sammy and Sally. And I always
Sally.
wanted to ask you, he never called for Joe. He
the
never called for
girls,
Joe.
the
It was
girls are the ones who call for Joe.
okay, yeah, he was Sammy and
The
and
girls,
and Sally.
when the girls have problems, they go sit in Joe's lap. When the guys have problems, they go talk to Sal.
Okay.
Go
Right.
talk to
Yeah.
And he named
Uh,
half of his gadgets Sally.
he,
right.
he did. He
Well, you
did.
know what? I almost the first time reading it, I got a little confused because he said to Rock, "Where's Sally? Go find Sally, or give me Sally. She'll do it." I was like, "Wait a minute, what are we talking about?" But then I had to remember his device was
It's his
Sally.
advice. He named everything Sally. Anything
Sally.
that could
Mhm.
protect him was
He
named
named
Sally.
Sally.
He
Yes.
named it
And
Sally.
there was another part in here, like Rock has two minutes, part of her name, but also her position. Because remember they said if he
Yeah,
ain't
that
dead
too,
yet, he
because they
gonna
were
die when he find out that
Right, right, right.
she's the
she
Rock.
got
What
the
is it?
job. She's the one
Recovery
that got the job.
operator. Yeah,
Yep.
recovery operator or something. And yeah,
Commander. Yeah, that was
yeah.
that. She got that job, and she got it over top of him. You know,
Hmm.
and he could never get in. Just grasp the reason why she has the nursing
Medical
experience.
background.
She had the
Hmm.
medical background, and if it was not for that medical background, he wouldn't have made it off of that table. Let's
Nope.
let's make sure we understand that too. But that table. Let's talk about all the things that was going on in his mind on that table. That is when you got a really good glimpse into who Joshua was as a man. When he
Yes.
was laying on that table, talking to his invisible people, was playing in his mind. It was during that time that you really got a good sense of who Joshua was and what he was all about. And then,
Yes.
especially in book number two, you just learn how much his faith um, was such a huge part of his life. And in book one, you would in Samuel's book and in Diamond's book, you would have never thought that Joshua was that one.
Right.
Was that one that was that close, that was so close to God, that God was a huge part of his life. But
Mhm.
Joshua is the one.
Yeah, it
I
it
think
really was. And I think
out of
with his job, he needed to be close,
the true
real
that.
close to God.
He
Yeah.
did. He,
So
he did.
But I
that was
think I, I think out of all the gents though, being named after books of the Bible, he was the one that took his the most serious.
Literally.
Yeah.
yes.
Literally.
Hmm.
And also, as I read through the book of Joshua, um, it seemed like everything in the book of Joshua related to the character Joshua. I
Mhm.
did not set out for it to be that way, but that
He
is
did. Yeah.
that's how it turned out. And every time that he would talk about a verse from the Bible, it was from the book of
The
Joshua.
book of Joshua. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's I knew that automatically when when you know your scriptures, you know your scriptures, and I was like, wow,
It
that
was
was really
from the book of
deep to
Joshua.
me.
And
Hmm.
I am not that scripture person. I am not that person who can um take you verse and chapter. That I'm not that person. I
Me
have
neither,
those
but if you've
I have
heard it
those ones that
before.
that I go to,
Mhm.
for me personally. But with Joshua, when I read through the book of Joshua, it just I did not have to do any adjustments to Joshua in order for his scriptures to fit. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
I didn't have to do any adjustments for him. It just fit. It just fit. And
Another. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, and the other thing that I love so much about Joshua, and it's because of his connections to children. You know,
Yes.
his connections to children. And let's talk about his own daughter.
And I
Yeah.
didn't pick that up. I didn't pick up the connection with the children. I literally until this time around reading it.
Wow,
I
that
didn't,
Really.
I mean, I kind of took it for granted. I mean, I knew he loved kids because of his nieces and that kind of thing, but how he connects with them
he
like outside the
He
family, yeah,
when
with
he
them
connected with Diamond's book, when he saw the little
with
girl, and
Shantae.
yeah,
yeah, with
Shantae,
Shantae. Like I
yeah,
didn't
that
pick that up
told
until
me.
this time. To this time,
Oh yeah, you
yeah.
can tell he had that way about him that
With,
children loved him and he loved children.
it's like what's I'm gonna say around Jesus loved the little children,
Hmm.
all
Hmm.
the children of the world. It's like with Joshua, the children just come to him. They just open up for him, and
Yeah, they trust him.
every
Kids
book
have that way about them. They know, they can
they know
feel
Oh
they
yeah,
if
for sure.
someone is,
they
But
they
do.
can trust or not.
I want to say this too about the spirituality aspect of Joshua. I think too it was good to see how like Joshua felt like he was forsaken, right? And
Hmm.
I always say this one thing is like my favorite little quote: delay does not mean denied.
Yes,
And when he went through all of this stuff thinking Akande was the one, and he was the one that it was over for him, like he
right.
didn't know. And so I love how going through all of those experiences that he did, he saw that I had something for you, it just wasn't time yet, you had to be prepared for that. And I
Yeah,
love that. And I think I wish I sometimes in some things we go too fast, and I wish me too
we
sometimes I was a
slow
little bit
down.
more patient too,
Mhm.
because I will be like Joshua. I'll be like, oh, you took this from me now. Okay, now I got to figure out how to get it back, or get it back instead of just saying sit, be
And
still.
be
Be
still.
I got
still.
you. Right.
Be still. Yes, I do love that aspect of Joshua's story. I think Joshua 1 and 2 is probably one of the deepest stories I have ever told. The two of them together, I think they're one of the deepest stories I ever told, because you really got into the depth of the man.
Yes, and
The,
I
the
love
depth
that.
of the man.
I love that. One of my other favorite parts was when while she was taking care of him, she was singing, and
Hmm.
that voice calmed him. You
Mhm.
know, but
Yeah,
once she got him home, once they was trying to get him home and everything, and they was in the car, and what's the car name? The highly
Genevieve,
intelligent
Genevieve,
Genevieve.
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 Mhm.
And he started talking to Genevieve, and Sam, you and Rock looked at each other like, what's going on?
Let me tell you, one of my favorite parts in this story was when she beat him at fencing.
Yes,
Oh
yes.
yeah.
Man, that one just set him on his knees that a woman could beat him.
And
And
Grayson stood back and watched. Didn't Grayson say he stood back
he
and
stood back
watched?
and watched. He stood
What
back and watched.
you know, another favorite was too is when they were just leaving her house and the safe house, and they were on that plane, and Sly walked in there, and they didn't know who was coming, and he recognized that Rock was the one to move faster than Sammy did. You
Yep.
know, so
Yep.
she was proving to him, that she was worthy. And I think that's when he started softening up a little bit toward her.
Yeah. But
Yeah, he didn't
but
want to
let me
look weak in front of
in front
Sly
of
and
her.
and
Sammy.
Sly. Yeah, and she gave look. He didn't even know what happened. He was just knocked out.
You gotta love it. But you know what else was for those who are listening to us, we are discussing the book of Joshua 1 and the book of Joshua 2. And in the book of Joshua, at the end of Teach Me, you saw where Lavar, the one of the a prince of Emir,
Yeah,
receives a call that his baby sister, his sister has been kidnapped. And Joshua immediately leaves with him, leaves
yes,
with him to go there. So that's how he ends up there. And he goes in search of Jaja, Princess Jaja. And when he rescues Princess Jaja and he's telling her,
let's go.
shh, no, when he's telling her, shh, and she's steadily talking to him. Well, we have to take Princess. We got to take her. We have to take her with us because it's such and he's going. We can't take her with us. We just us. No, we do. We have
He
to
was
take her.
adamant about not leaving her.
Yeah, and she just would not shut up.
Mm.
She just would not shut up. Every time he went to do something,
Mm-hmm.
She also didn't follow rules very well because he told her to stay behind that door, and
Yeah,
then she come right out there, right at open fire.
just like a
yeah.
teenager would do, right? Just like
Hmm.
a teenager would do. So there's some really, really funny parts in this story. And one of the other parts is when he's talking to the prince. He's talking to the next king. You have Lord, I forgot their names, but you had the king, and then the Rashid,
Rashim,
Rashim, and what was the one that was
His
going to take
father.
over?
Oswin, I think
Oswin.
Oswin.
Oswin. Oswin was the one that was going to become king, right? And he was talking to them like, just like, yeah, well, I look good, so I'm gonna grab the women. And Emir, not Emir, Lavar was telling him stay away from
The
this.
bear.
Right, because you should know, yeah, when he was upsetting the queen's
Queen.
household,
Yes, he
because
was
they were the
upset the
staff
queen's
was out there
household.
fighting over him.
Yes,
And they was the women, yeah, or who's going to have him first and stuff. I was like, oh my goodness.
oh God, that
But
was just
guys, what did you think about the and this showed the level of respect, even though Joshua probably didn't think this at the time, but this showed the level of respect that they had for him as the person. But when they were in the White House and they were talking about this the wedding, right? They had Akande and him separated, right? They first had to they brought him in to deal with having the brother tell the story of why he did, and then if he didn't trust him, then I think he would have been just killed. Like it would have just been over for him.
yeah.
And then you know how the president says, well, on this and only you can make this decision. If you say no, we can't move forward. So I feel like there was such a level of respect
Oh,
that the
respect.
country had for him, even though in Joshua's, heartbreaking, he didn't see that. But and then I also like when he left, when he finally made his last, leaving. The Secret Service was gonna come, and it was like, if you value your life, you better stand down.
Because Joshua would have taken every last one of them
Oh,
out.
and
Yeah,
then
all
when
he had to do
Sammy
is
had to
pull a
take
little
him
Sally
down,
out and boom, and they all.
yeah, And another thing too in there you showed about the patriotism of these guys, these Lassiter men. You saw how Sammy took his own brother down when he was getting out of pocket, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so, I mean, it was for his safety, but
Yeah.
I mean, still, he did not hesitate when he was going, stepping out of the
That's
box.
true.
He
That
took
is
him
true.
down.
That
So
is
that
true.
was,
Yeah.
I
Another
think,
part that I loved in this. Go ahead, Iris.
I think that one of the things that I truly, truly wanted to show in this story was Joshua's patriotism to his country.
hmm
And it couldn't have been shown any stronger than when Akande had to make that decision. And she had to
Mm-hmm.
make that decision on what it was she was going to do. And if Joshua had been honest with himself at that time,
hmm
he would have made exactly the
Well, you
same
know
decision.
how sometimes our emotions take
hmm
over what
Yes,
what's up here, what we know is right.
right.
You feel what you feel when you feel it. No
Hmm.
no second thoughts about it. But one of the other parts that I really love, once they got him to safety and everything, and his mom came over and he was talking harshly, and honey, Sally didn't care whether he was hurt, broke, or what. She,
Yes.
Honey, you better straighten up
who?
and fly right.
Yeah, she had
Hey,
that voice in her like, who the hell you think you
think you
talking
talking
to?
to? But also, we got to talk about Lucy. We got to talk
Yeah,
about
I
I
Lucy,
was
love
just getting ready to
Lucy.
say about Lucy.
and we
Yeah.
got to talk about Commando. We got to talk
Yes,
about Lucy
I
and
love
Commando.
Commando.
Commando. Oh, child, we fell in love with Commando in
Right.
TG
Right.
Yes, he did. Trying to save Diamond.
because he was trying to save Diamond, and Diamond just won't get in it. And then we have here we saw the commitment that Commando had to
To Joshua.
Joshua, as well as Lucy,
hmm
Yes,
as well as Lucy, because Lucy was on Joshua just as hard as Samuel. I mean, as Sally
hmm
right.
was on Joshua, and so that was also very, very interesting. But guys, it's so much happened in these two stories. We haven't touched on the on Royce Davenport and Shelley,
Yeah.
Yes.
or we haven't touched on when Adam blew up the
The school.
this well, he did not
Well,
blow
he
up
didn't blow the
the
school up.
school. It
He
was the
just blew up
lab.
the
It was just
experiments.
it was the lab and the connection that and the crush that Adam had on Rochelle.
She
hmm
had an effect on what they said, 3 Lassiter men.
Yes,
Because Sammy worked with her in the
yes,
field,
yes,
and Adam was her student. Now
yes.
she was dealing with
And
Joshua.
then she had Joshua, so she was destined to be a Lassiter.
Yeah.
Period. She was
I
destined
guess.
to be a Lassiter. But so we haven't even touched on and what was happening to Akande at the time.
Yeah.
She was being
Yes.
used because of her loyalty to her country, and her aunt recognized that, and
And they
she
was trying to
used
take her
that.
legacy away.
Yeah.
They was trying to steal her
They
legacy.
was trying to steal a legacy, but they needed her to steal a legacy.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? But
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's exactly what they was trying to do. So that she went through, she went through hell. She went through hell, and she came out on the other side as the queen of
hmm
Ashmere. As the queen of Ashmere, and what turns out to be one of the richest
This
countries
countries.
in
hmm
Africa.
That
So
was
Which is,
something.
it's all about greed. That was the reason why they
all about
started this whole thing in the first
it's
place.
all about greed. And if we, don't y'all start me. If we look at what we're dealing with today, it
Yeah,
is all about greed.
it's a lot
It's
of
always
similarities
all
in
about
what was
greed.
going on today that
Yeah,
was, in that book.
yeah.
But one of the things that we'll just touch on Shelley and Royce real quick. Um Guys, and just so if you're listening, we jumping all over the place, but this is definitely a book you're just gonna have to get, two books that you're gonna have to get to experience yourself, because there is
Yes.
absolutely no way we will be able to tell you everything that was going on there. We're not even touching some stuff and just surfacing some others. But what
Exactly.
I loved about Shelley and Royce was these men who are in these high power positions and stuff, and these women feisty as heck, man, and they
Yes.
just they it's almost like they shoot them with a drug that they cannot come back from.
That's
But
exactly what I felt like when I was writing Shelley and Ross's part of this.
Mhm.
It's like she just shot him with a drug. Just she when they were in that
the
meeting.
man mumbling
Yeah,
to,
she loved
to
his
himself.
spiciness because she was, yeah,
He
she was
had a
giving
mumbling
it,
to
she gave
himself. I
it to
can't
him.
believe she said with this. Did you hear what she said? She said
He couldn't believe she had the audacity
right.
to
But
talk to him like that.
but
But
my
but he
Grayson,
was attracted to it. That's what turned him on about her.
and
right.
Grayson, who was also one that looked up to his big brother, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
He was there just laughing. He was to him. It was like he couldn't believe
Yeah, when
it.
they got out the car on the side in front of the water, he was like,
That's
"Did
what
you
I'm saying.
believe it?"
Said it was him mumbling
What
to
she
himself.
said to me, he called himself getting mad. Who does she think she talking to and everything?
But
But
I
And
what
they
also
was
my
they
realized
just
favorite
that
part
bust
about
out
them was
laughing.
my favorite part about them was when after all of the dust had settled after what was going on with them, he gave her those pearls, and then he went to her most intimate place, and then he was like with that ring. I was like, you know, oh my god, that did it
Yeah,
for
but
me with them.
yeah, I like the Royce and Shelley's part, but it dawned on me that Shelley did not know that Rock was who she was.
no,
Right,
that was her friend. They grew up together in
the foster
the
home.
foster home.
Right,
No, but she did not know that. Well, first of all, remember she did not know that Rock and Royce
right. Was her
knew
boss,
each other.
right.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
but they did because Royce was who Rock basically had to report to.
Part two.
So
And
she
Rock and what's his brother?
Well, Rock was supposed to
Great
be in
Grayson.
retirement at that time. Yeah,
He
she was
was.
in
well,
retirement at that
she
time.
was in retirement. They brought her in. Remember that conversation? Also, oh
Oh
God,
yeah,
remember,
JD was
this
like,
is
I don't
all.
care.
This also when we realized some of the people in the administration was plotting against JD.
Hmm.
This is also when we learned that in these two stories too.
Right,
But
but he wasn't president then.
in the second one,
Yeah.
Yeah, in the second one, but the first one,
Yeah.
in the
when
second
he
one,
gave that
but
suggestion,
he was the one who gave the suggestion. That's why Fire was hot with
yeah,
JD.
JD.
We also have to talk about how that relationship
Yes,
developed as
yes,
well, you know. But in the
yes.
second one, he had just became president. So he was
Hmm.
still finding his way, and the generals was testing him to see, they were
Very
certainly
much.
testing him to see what they could get away with and what they couldn't.
They went beyond testing.
They
Hmm.
did.
They went beyond testing because
And
Disrespectful.
so did what's his name, y'all? Carolyn's first husband.
Oh,
Gavin.
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 Okay, I got a question right there. Okay, I've read these two stories forever and ever and ever, and I know this is when Galvin went rogue. It's something there when Galvin went rogue, but you got to pinpoint it to me because it's still a gray area for me. So
Gavin really went rogue. Gavin rogue when JD named Vice President
Jerry,
After the other one
Gary
got killed in that bomb.
because he was trying to bring the country together. And Gavin felt that that was when Gavin went rogue, was when JD
right?
named a Republican as his vice president. And at
Hmm.
the
So
and really, Jerry wasn't a bad person. Jerry
No, he
himself
was.
wasn't a bad person. Jerry's father and his grandfather,
Grandfather.
they
and
were,
his wife,
and his wife, they were something else. But Jerry, if you had to pick, if we had an opportunity where a Democrat and a Republican can come together and govern the country, Jerry was a good pick for that because Jerry did have his beliefs, and things, but he also had that patriotic
heart
in his heart too, which his family was trying to tear from him every step that they can turn away. That's why
his grandfather was a mess, but
yes,
yeah, you're right.
But I found it ironic that all of this terrorist acting went on in Texas, where they all from.
Because it's going on in Texas now.
Well, that's true too. But we trying to stay in the book and not in real life, because again, we get you on that.
Yes,
on that video, and it is
how long ago did I write those two books? Those two books a little bit ago. But this stuff was happening in the story in Texas.
Right, which was where Jerry was from.
Where Jerry was from.
Yeah. And so now, okay, let me go back to Galvin now. Okay. So we know that he got an attitude because he didn't get named the vice president.
But he also didn't get named. He made him his attorney general.
Right.
He made him his attorney general, which made him the law of the land. That's why he was able to do the things.
Yeah. So, okay. So now, was he involved with those guns?
Yes.
Okay. That's what I couldn't figure out. I kept saying, yes, he was. And then I was like, no, maybe he really wasn't, because the way
he was involved in it because that was the plot. The plot was to have these weapons come into the United States, then embarrass the administration, on this thing that took place under JD's watch.
And that was the reason how they could get so much information so quickly.
Because they had that connection with Gavin.
Now, also too, in reading that is the reader, because like when Joshua found those guns, he blew them up. So those guns literally were gone. They were gone, but the people who were there knew the story, and that's the story that they passed forward.
The story that they.
Okay, all right.
That's like we know the truth behind what's happening right now, but the people who are talking about it is called what? Misinformation to the public, and that's what they're doing now.
Okay.
Don't take me there. Don't take me there.
Yeah, well, I know I had to. I said, listen, I'm reading the story. This time I'm gonna I got you in my ear. I got your ear. I'm gonna ask this to make sure I am sure what I was thinking was correct.
Right.
Yes. Okay. We can carry on now.
This is also when the president and his brother-in-law daughters was kidnapped.
Yeah.
Yes.
By that devil of a man, David Holt.
Actually, that is the heart. That's a part of the heart. When it actually happened, that was a part of the heart.
Yeah.
But that was in here too because Rock helped him.
No, that was Joshua.
Yeah, Joshua came. Joshua came.
Two other young teenagers again.
Yeah, I know Joshua came to help them. I'm saying Rock helped Joshua. Remember when Miss Grown and Sassy told him was telling him the code, what numbers to press for the code?
Which Grown and Sexy? Which one? Because there's a whole lot of Grown and Sexy.
I said Sassy. I said Grown and Sassy.
Oh, okay.
JD's oldest daughter.
Jazzy,
yeah. And she was telling Joshua what number to press for the boom and what number is the test code and everything. And so he, like you said again, he had that connection with the
young
children.
With the children, he always had.
Look, isn't it ironic that they're girls too?
Joshua just has
from the little women, little girls to the big girls. Joshua had that touch.
He did. He had that touch throughout all of the stories that Joshua appear in. Somewhere along the line, that's a child involved. Now the question is, how is he going to handle little Teddy?
Yeah,
When
because she
Teddy
seemed
gets
like
to that
she's
age, that's the question.
And that's where I start to have my issues with Akande,
Sunday.
because Akande, and I apologize because I may be going ahead, but Akande she made her decision, and I understand why she had to try to keep the child's paternity a secret because of that. I understood that. So I
Right,
didn't have no issue with that. But what I had an issue with was when the cat was out the bag and she's trying to play that. She was acting like a baby mama and she was giving all the drama when you had already made your decision, this
right.
was your country. And now here I am trying to, make my life. Now you got this girl here, you making it difficult for me.
But
Mm-hmm.
isn't that the drama of baby mamas?
Yeah, that's what I said. That's when I started having a problem with her, when she started, acting like the baby mama drama stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing about it is, she came up against the right one.
Oh, definitely that.
Yes.
What you would learn,
Definitely that
what you would
was
learn about once you get to Hypnotics book. You know,
right. Right.
Yeah.
against the right. She came up against the right one, and every now and then, you have some baby mama drama where you come up against maybe someone like a Diamond who is kind of laid back
Way
and
back, but
and
honey,
not
when
going to
Diamond
a
get
lot of thing about it. But Rock, that's a whole
listen,
nother story.
yeah, I know this is not in that story, but when they was trying to tell Teddy the truth, and she was just like, "Well, I
Samantha
know that this," and they all look at her like, "How do you know that?" She was like, "Samantha."
told me. Or another part, my favorite part on that is when Rock is in Akande's palace in
Yes,
Akande's country with Akande's king sitting right next to her, and she whipped that ass.
she did.
Mm-mm.
She whipped that.
She did.
That
They
was
put her in jail, but okay, we digress. That's not from this book.
that's not from this book, but it's
But
all
it's so many branches
all
that lead to there. So many
it's
branches.
all it's
That's why I
all
said Joshua is the one character that's in
almost
all the books
every book,
Hmm.
almost every book in the Heart series.
in the Heart series
He
and the
even
Lassiter
shows up
series.
in the Brooks series, but then we see Adam.
Mm-hmm.
As he
Yeah.
grows into maturity, he's becoming that one
I can't wait till we get to Adam's book though.
that
But Josh,
he becomes
he's
the one.
following in his brother's lead for sure.
He is, but
Well,
the two younger ones, Adam and Sapphire, are as large as life as Samuel and Joshua are. Fire and Adam is the future. And
yeah,
Yeah.
their
definitely.
reach is so much greater than because they have no boundaries. Look at how Adam uses satellites to do
Like
stuff
like it's nothing.
like it's nothing. Joshua didn't do that, but
He
Joshua,
did a little bit.
no, it was always
It was
Adam who was
yeah.
giving him the
The
instruments
Coordinates and stuff like that. And then Ned used a
and
little
Ned.
bit of that too. But
Mhm.
Adam was blossoming way before, while Joshua was doing it,
Joshua
because
was doing
he
this.
was the one
yeah,
who
creating everything, all
right, he
those
did the
little
Genevieve.
tools.
He did the Genevieve way before he got to Rock's class and had
Yeah.
already sold it to the government,
Yep.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yep.
So
So it's like, and now that we have learned about Luke, we know also during this period some of these escape routes. What you guys are gonna learn? Some of these escape routes that Joshua was using was because
Mm-hmm.
of cuts, which was created by
Luke, yeah.
Luke
And Luke was doing that
It
while he
was
was in,
while he
in
was in
school.
college. Yeah.
Yeah.
that was in yeah, he said him and Adam, Luke and Adam was
They
creating those
created
things.
it. They created it because Luke needed a way to get from the girl's
Yeah.
house so that he wouldn't be seen and get in trouble.
Trouble.
Girls.
But no, yeah, because he was dating two women,
Yeah.
and that was his way to get between both of them. But you know what? They say the most everything that we have is created out of need.
out of need, and
Mhm.
that was the need. Was he needed to be able to get from one to the other without being seen, and Adam created that need for him, and
But
he
Yeah.
took it from there.
you know
And
what?
it's ironic, all of them, most of them from, you know, we read the entire series. They were already handpicked by the government based on
Things
what
that they
they
were
wrote
doing,
thesis based
Mhm.
on their thesis or projects they did in school.
that they did in
Yeah.
school. Yeah, that they did in school.
Ladies, I wanted to just tell you, it's never enough time for us to finish everything. But uh it is our time, y'all, to kind of close it up. So if you are following us, please get these two books, Joshua 1 and 2, Trust and Believe.
Mhm.
I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed. And then while you at it, since we already doing this, come on, just let's do the whole last of the series, right? That's what we're doing. So go on and grab all the books so you can follow us. We'll be back with you in week after next for another story in the Lassiter's gang. But until then, Miss Prissy, tell us what music you paired with with these two books.
Lord,
War. Good
that,
God,
yes, that
y'all.
was the
What
song.
is it good for?
That
Perfect.
was the
Perfect.
song. That
That's
was
what was
one of the
going
song.
on.
Yeah, but I also thought about Fight the Power.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
that fits
yeah.
And
too.
not so much the rap version, but the Isley Brothers version,
Hmm.
Mhm.
Hmm.
you know. Because if you listen to those lyrics, it fits to, to this
It fits
story.
to Joshua and Rock, and,
Right.
and
So
and he was trying to fight that power, but Rock had
yes.
power for him.
Yes. So Fight the Power by the Isley Brothers is the song for the
Yeah.
day for Joshua.
And I am your wine connoisseur here, and the wine that I chose today is Sweet Revenge, and it's a St. Julian uh, brand, and which is in Michigan. It's local. If you are around in that area, check out the St. Julian Winery. They have a lot of things in there, but this one was called Sweet Revenge, and it's a sweet wine. Believe it or not, it's sweet and it has some hints of chocolate and cherries and stuff in there. So it
Mhm.
may not feel like it's strong enough to take in this story, but the story and the bottle is just great. It just says a lot for the story. So that's what we have for today. Thank you for joining us. But we are going to turn it over to Miss Iris Bolin. Miss Iris Bolin, the mastermind behind these two stories. Tell us where everybody can find you at.
You can find me on social media. You got Facebook, you have Instagram. I am on TikTok, barely, but I'm there. And I am on Twitter. But the best place to go to get any information on me or my stories is going to be my website, which is www.irisbowling.com. Go there and you can find the books, you can find the movies, you can find just about everything that has to do with Iris Bowling.
All right. All right. So what about you, Miss Prissy?
Well, you can find me on just about every social media platform, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and what is it, TikTok, but barely. and I can be reached at my website, Stylesetters Entertainment. That's Style STYLESETT.ET@gmail.com. And you can just drop me an email if you feel like you need music for promoting your products.
All right, all right.
All
And
right.
I am your host for today, Midnight Ace of Midnight Ace Book Bar and Custom Creations. I can be found on social media platforms Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest at Midnight Ace Book Bar. And my website is www.midnightacebookbar, where you can click on the Custom Creations shop. And I'm having a Juneteenth sale. So if you want, Juneteenth is right around the corner. So if you need some swag to celebrate the holiday, go check it out.
Okay, now, ladies, I do have to hit you with one more thing before we go. Um, Real quick, the thing about the Lassiter series,
Mhm.
as we read through them, please remember and keep in mind that we do have where the Lassiter series connects with the Heart
Oh
series,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it also connects with the Gems and Gents series. No,
The Brooks.
the Brooks,
the,
the Brooks
yeah,
series. So as you're reading the series on my website, if you go to my FA um, FAQ page, it will tell you the way to read them so that you're keeping up with,
yeah,
with each one of them. You're keeping up with what's happening in between. Because if you read them or if you read them out of order, you're gonna get to a book where you can say, "Well, when did JD become president? Wait a minute."
right. Like
Oh,
we did today. Like we did today.
he was just running for office, and stuff like that. And you have to remember, you really need to remember the connection between JD and Joshua,
Hmm.
because that is really, really important. So you have to see how that relationship formulated. And also in Joshua books is where you see where the JD and Fire connection
Hmm.
happens, which is going to become very relevant in the future stories that we have coming up. So
Right.
just remember that, I just wanted to put that out there so you guys would know those stories are intertwined with each other.
Yes.
You're absolutely right. But then the connection with JD to the entire Lassiter household, because there's quite a few people that he has on his payroll.
Lord, that is so true. That is so true. He does have quite a few on the payroll. I'm sorry, Midnight. I just wanted to make
No, no, no,
sure
no. I'm
that.
glad you brought that up because you're right. You get down to it, and then they're gonna be they might get confused. But listen, there is no hardship to read the Heart series as well, which was Iris's firstborn, I believe,
Those was
started with
those was the first
the Heart
babies.
series.
Those was the
Yeah.
first babies.
Yeah. So yeah, check that out. And there's a lot of nuggets throughout this entire in that series and this series. There's a lot of nuggets. So definitely worth your time in reading.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And thank y'all for highlighting
Yeah, no,
the Gems
it
and Gems series.
it was
Yes. And we
it was
have
a
more
time.
to
It was time
come.
to do the whole series all together.
That
Yeah.
is true.
And
And
then,
I have
guys,
to
the
say,
reason we started this to the readers, I wanted to say, if you haven't, we're going to probably get to this too at the end, because at the end of the Lassiter series, we had the four weddings of the four kids, the last four weddings.
right.
And then Iris put it in a collection book. And in that, she gave us a bonus story of Joe and Sally.
Mhm.
And that was why it was important for us to go back, because she gave us the beginning at the end. So we
Right.
circling back. We started with the beginning and now we're going all the way through. So just a little something you can look forward to by the time we get to the
Thank you,
end.
ladies. Thank you, ladies.
Well, that's our show for today. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Wow. Well, there we go.